Last week, the 83-year-old founder of the iconic climate-conscious outdoor clothing brand Patagonia decided to write away the $3 billion company to a trust and an NGO. Why? Well, to save the planet by fighting the climate crisis. In the words of the founder, instead of going public, the company is going purpose. Hello and welcome to this special episode of Young Turks. I'm Shireen Bhan. And Patagonia's pursuit of purpose is a fitting start to this special program where we showcase change makers who've made it their purpose to empower lives and make a real difference. Once again, CNBC-TV18 is proud to bring you extraordinary stories of India's change agents in partnership with the Schwab Foundation and the Jubilant Bharatiya Foundation. The 13th Social Entrepreneur of the Year Award 2022 features 5 change agents who are pioneering tech-driven social innovation models to create impact at scale. 500 million Indians still live in darkness with no access to digital connectivity. Tools that could give them access to their rights, be it pension, education or healthcare, at the click of a button. To fight this exclusion, Osama Manzar established the Digital Empowerment Foundation, which has taken digital literacy to 130 unconnected districts in India. Here's how DEF is ensuring that no Indian lives at the edge of information.
The problem of India was just not going away from my head. Our poverty is not a physical poverty, it's a poverty of information. 2 decades back, when internet started taking over our lives, digital started taking over lives, I realized that this digital connectivity or digital infrastructure at the doorstep is an access. And that's very important because the cost of exercising your right is dependent on the access. And then I said that we need a digital empowerment foundation, or we need digital empowerment. So what we do is that we actually look at India not in totality from the perspective of, there are 753 districts and then so many states and so on and so forth. We look at which are the districts which are backward. Physical digital center is actually bringing the bank at your doorsteps, e-governance at your doorsteps, your pension at your doorsteps, delivery of services at your doorsteps. This hub center is more like there are 5-6 rooms. One is a STEM center and digital center, literacy center, one is a skilling center, one is a health center, one is a government services center. STEM center or the digital education center doesn't mean that they are giving degrees. No, they're giving resources. Each physical center that we create is owned or run by a person locally. 60 to 70% of them are women and about 50% of them are people with disability. Digital Empowerment Foundation has impacted 30 million people out of the 60 to 70% of the total population which are unconnected with digital linkages and connectivity and services across 24 states going on. Who is going to tell you what to do and not to do? You needed that one representative locally who is connected through the internet but also have a capability to filter the right information for you. And this people who were working and running these digital centers, which we call community information resource centers, and the person who runs this is called Suchnapreneur, became suddenly the Suchnapreneur come COVID information warriors. UNICEF wanted to have a large scale impact in working in villages, and we partnered with them, and 885 of our Suchnapreneurs were selected to create a huge campaign of mobilization for vaccination and also fight misinformation and fake news in so many places with a target of 65 lakh people to reach out. We are actually aspiring to go to almost 350 backward districts in the next about 3 to 5 years.
India's rural citizens are as aspirational and entrepreneurial as their urban counterpart, but find themselves wanting access, Seeing this, Ajay Shah set up Frontier Markets, a social commerce platform which is bringing products and services to the doorsteps of rural households. It's doing so by enabling thousands of rural women and turning them into entrepreneurs who act as a bridge to rural communities. Here's the story of Frontier Markets.
I started Frontier Markets about 11 years ago. I was working in the microfinance sector right after college for about 7 years in all different parts of India. In that time, I realized that financial services is important, but actually to really alleviate poverty, to truly help families climb that economic ladder, you need access to everything. Rural customers, given that where they live, they don't have access to doorstep delivery. They don't have access to technology, and they don't necessarily have access to even dukans. Like stores are not available where they live. So the first element of what Frontier Markets wanted to do was build a supply chain. Can we actually build warehouses and have delivery people that would be able to take physical products and deliver to the doorstep for where rural customers live? But the second major issue was that people didn't really know who the rural customer was. And the rural customer didn't actually understand what are the opportunities or products or services that are even out there. So to solve that problem, we actually then invested in a network of rural women entrepreneurs who we call our Saral Jeevan Sahelis. I use our network of women entrepreneurs for helping me understand who they are by collecting information on these rural households, building out an understanding of who they are, what they need, what their challenges are. The third thing that we did was then, of course, put all of this on a technology platform, technology that is made for rural people. So our Meri Saheli app that we had designed was a solution as an assisted tool that our rural women are using to help actually navigate this entire process. On the platform, in partnership with various different agri players, we actually showcase their solutions on that platform so they can avail an end-to-end solution for agri. We do this also for consumer electronics. We do this for appliances, for kitchen tools. We've partnered with over 46 different brands to actually bring in even washing machines. We help in digital payments. We also help them get access to clean energy solutions. We have a network of over 1 million families today. We have over 20,000 women entrepreneurs that are actually being able to help facilitate this entire linkage in this process. Now, how do these women earn money? So they tend to have about 50 to 100 households that they take responsibility for. So imagine all the services that they end up facilitating, they end up earning a commission. Today, on average, our women that start working with us, let's say from day one, are already earning at least 1,000 to 1,500 rupees in that first month. By the third month, they're earning 3,000 rupees. By the 9th month, they're earning 5,000 rupees. And there's been a consistency of 5,000 rupees minimalistically on average. This year, we are actually scaling from 20,000 women entrepreneurs to 100,000 women entrepreneurs, from 1 million customers to 10 million customers, from 245 crores to 900 crores. So it's really about growth.
Only 4 out of 10 Indians are able to apply for a government scheme in India, that's according to the World Bank. With the mission to plug the information and access gap between citizens and government schemes, Aniket Diogar established HawkDarshak. Through its tech-enabled interventions and field card of rural entrepreneurs, HawkDarshak has guided over 20 lakh families and 50,000 MSMEs exercise their right to welfare schemes. Let's take a look at the journey.
India has over 13,000 government schemes, and these schemes are basically meant for about 850 million Indians and about 60 million micro businesses. Majority of these businesses and citizens are not aware of what are these schemes. Even if they know about the schemes, they are not aware what are they eligible for. And that is the constant motivation for me to always think that why am I doing what I'm doing? You're basically getting them something which is their right, which is their haq. And the basic premise of the whole solution is this AI-based platform. So we have a repository, a library of 7,500 schemes translated in 12 local languages plus Hindi and English. Then we have this AI engine where you put in the information. From this dictionary it picks up what are the exact schemes you're eligible for, and in an instant you can know what is your eligibility. And once they know of the government scheme, they were coming back to us and asking, how can I apply for it? In the community, there are these women who are members of self-help group. They are first-time digital users. So one of our first trainings that we give to them is how to use a smartphone, how to use the app, how to navigate through the system, how to use UPI. Moving to the next part, we also realize that this segment that we are talking about, these 850 million, are not necessarily people who can pay a full fee for the service. So who in the ecosystem can sponsor this? Who can pay for them? And that's when we reached out to employers. And today actively we are working with 75 plus clients. Today we've reached over 2.2 million families and close to 50,000 micro businesses. In the process, we have helped disburse close to 5,000 crores worth of benefits through a network of over 25,000 women entrepreneurs. As a process, our women entrepreneurs have also earned close to 15 crores cumulative income. And they are on an average earning 4,500 to 5,000 rupees per month. We already were a hybrid model where we were doing online platform and this on-ground women entrepreneur agent-led model. But I think we were pushed to think more online. So we set up our Play Store app in 2020 April. The second thing we did in second half of 2020 was that we launched our MSME platform. The third big pivot that we made in 2021, we established what we call Yojana Kendras. Started with one Kendra in Jan 2021, and today we have established close to 15. By March 2023, we are looking to expand this number to 100. The fourth thing and the final that really we innovated on during COVID was what we call the Yojana card, India's first QR code based card. We aim by end of this financial year to disburse 100,000 Yojana cards. Our own vision is in 2 to 3 years, can we be one of the first companies to list on the social stock exchange to ensure that social security reaches to more and more people.
So HawkDarshak is gearing up to raise money from the public for the public by listing on the social stock exchange. After the break, we bring you stories of two entrepreneurs who are enabling people with disabilities to find jobs and tackling mountains of waste while giving the waste pickers a life of dignity. For nearly 2 decades, Wilma Rodriguez has been on a mission to ensure that no waste goes to waste. Wilma's Sahas, which offers end-to-end waste management solutions, is collecting over 100 tons of waste every day and converting the society's refuse into resource through recycling. Besides keeping the circular economy going, Sahas is empowering informal waste collectors, helping them become micro-entrepreneurs and lead a life of dignity. Here's the Sahas story.
You know, I used to be a tour guide, working a lot with German tourists, taking them through India, enjoying the beauty of India, its culture, its landscape, but always marred by, you know, the waste that one saw and the indifference around waste. And I remember the occasion when, you know, the German tourists especially kept on asking me about, you know, how we in India were looking at waste and wanting to change the situation on the ground. So that was for me the starting point, and then that journey of, you know, starting Sahas as an NGO in 2001 and then moving it, or rather looking at a second entity for the organization as Sahas Zero Waste, a private limited and a social enterprise. Conversion of waste to resources is our solution. Our first vertical is called the Zero Waste Program, and for that we work with all bulk generators. We work in cities especially with the large corporate offices, with tech parks, with residences, with educational institutions. Bulk waste generators contribute 40% to a city's waste. So that's a huge number, and that's our customer base. First of all, we definitely ensure that segregation at source becomes part of the culture, and then all the waste, the dry waste, then comes to our material recovery facility for further sorting into different categories, and we have MOUs and contracts with all our different recyclers. So currently we are on an average of a little over 100 tons of waste per day. The second vertical that we have is called EPR, or Extended Producer Responsibility, where today under regulation, brands that produce electronic items as well as plastic packaging waste are expected to take back their waste from consumers and channel it into proper recycling. So we then work with various brands to enable that reverse logistics system. And then the final vertical is closing the loop, or circle up as we call our third vertical, because this is our sale of products. All our customers, they have been able to come to a point where they are accountable for 96% of the waste that they generate. Here we are transitioning 4 million plus people that have been engaged in waste in the most horrific ways possible. To formal systems, to entrepreneurship, to people taking responsibility for their waste.
India is home to over 70 million people with disabilities. Discriminated, deprived and disadvantaged, most of them struggle to find a job. Mira Shinoy, through her organization Youth for Jobs, has made it her job to find ability in disability. Youth for Jobs is skilling, training and equipping rural youth with disabilities to become industry ready. Here's how Youth for Jobs is changing the mindset from can't do to can do.
I wanted to work with the most vulnerable segment of the population. And if you look at youth with disabilities, the education levels are incredibly low, and therefore only 30% of them are employed, and most of them in the unorganized sector with very, very low salaries. So my vision when I set up Youth for Jobs was to ensure that all persons with disabilities have equal access to education and employment. When we set up our first batch, we were waiting for youth with disabilities to enroll, but found that there were very few enrolling. And then when we went to the villages, we saw parents think that their child with disability is useless, especially the girls, they keep them hidden. So we realized there was a big challenge there, and we started a very, very scaled up Village Connect program. To reach the villages, we have large number of grassroots workers whose job is to go from village to village and to tell them that actually there is ability in disability. To make this sensitization attractive to the villagers, we are first giving them a small module of digital literacy. In the companies, we do a whole series of work, from telling them where the jobs are, which is called a job role matrix, accessibility audits, helping them to make the infrastructure and the workplace friendly to youth with disabilities who are hired. Today, I'm happy to say that our Village Connect program has reached 9.2 million households, and we work with about 1,100 companies. As we started working with a lot of companies started asking us for educated manpower. So then we started the College Connect program. So we set up our smart inclusion centers, which work with the educators to sensitize them, to teach them sign language. In the last 10 years, we've trained about 32,000 youth with disabilities and put them into quality jobs. You have to multiply that figure by 5, about 150,000, because typically in homes, a youth with disability is a drain on the family, and suddenly, instead of being a drain, what happens is that he becomes an asset, most often the highest earning member, and contributing actively to the family incomes. These youth now are becoming our grassroots leaders, and they have a very active urge to give back. Beautiful. But when it comes to human beings and their differences, if one doesn't have a hand, if one can't speak, or if someone is an acid victim, you say, oh God, you don't say so beautiful. Okay. So the lesson is that learn from nature.
In a gentle way, you can shake the world, said Mahatma Gandhi, and our 5 change agents exemplify that. We salute the social enterprises displayed by Osama Manzar, Ajayita Shah, Aniket Diogar, Wilma Rodriguez and Mira Shinoy. And it is now time for us to announce the winner of the Social Entrepreneur of the Year for 2022. The award goes to Aniket Diogar for the impact created by HawkDarshak, which is empowering millions of vulnerable families and small business owners get their rightful access, their haq, to government programs. Congratulations to Aniket and his team. Wish you the very best of luck. And with that, it is time for us to say goodbye this year. We'll be back next year with stories of many more social entrepreneurs who are tirelessly working to bring in change. I leave you with this quote from Nelson Mandela: "It is in your hands to create a better world for all who live in it." Thanks for watching.